Everyone's favorite coworker now is Claude, right? In the last year and a half, I think the market has changed dramatically, and I attribute that to the AI development. And I'm finally able to contribute meaningfully on the technical side beyond just standing over the shoulder of a developer saying, that's wrong, move this here. If you're providing a service and it's data related and whatnot, you have to be able to connect to the systems that are out there, to Claude, to ChatGPT, to whatever it is. MCP is the only way that that's going to work.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today is a special episode. We have a returning guest. It's been, and I can't believe this, nearly a year and a half since he was last on the show. It is David Hunter from Local Falcon. We are going to be diving into all things local SEO, AI, vibe coding. David, it's exciting times. Welcome to the show.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a year and a half ago, it was a great episode. Things have changed. We just had we basically just did a podcast episode before recording the podcast, talking about everything. Tell me what's been going on.
Geeking out on Claude.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's favorite coworker now is Claude, right? So we spend a lot of time on that.
Yeah. What's exciting is
a lot has happened, in the last year and a half. I think the market has changed dramatically, and I attribute that to the AI development. And I gotta say, I should have listened to our last episode because I'm not sure exactly where we left off. I'm sure we were touching on it at the time, but probably nowhere near where we're at today.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the case. And what's crazy about the pace of these developments is if you are in this, like we are, you very, very much so. And actually your story is really poignant, I think, because you founded, for those that don't know, Local Falcon is one of the market industry leading local SEO platforms. It's used by thousands of people. David is not a developer. He doesn't write code. He's not like a nerdy, sit down and develop the platform, but he founded the business. And over the years, he has now been presented with a technology that actually allows him to go back into his business in a way which he's never been able to before. Would you say that's fair?
I think that's a fair characterization. I'm finally able to contribute meaningfully on the technical side beyond just standing over the shoulder of a developer saying, that's wrong, move this here.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the pace of change is so, when we're in it, it's so quick. I mean, I was just doing a podcast recently and we were talking about MCPs and I was like, God, that 3-letter acronym didn't even exist 12 months ago. And now it's like, if you go to a company's website and you're looking for an NPC and they don't have one, you're like, God, get with the times.
If you don't, it feels like you're not going to make it, unless you've got that. If you're providing a service and it's data related and whatnot, I mean, you have to be able to connect to the systems that are out there, to Claude, to ChatGPT, to whatever it is. MCP is the only way that that's going to work. And it's a real blessing. I mean, I'm sure that everyone keeps talking about SaaS is over and this and that. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of firms out there that are not going to make it because, their systems and their product has been sort of swallowed whole by AI. But I think that if you've got unique data and you've got some visibility already in a little bit of distribution, you've got a real shot at making it. And I think a unique data is really the key to this whole thing. It's something where for us, I mean, look, there's nothing special or sort of proprietary about the idea of going to a specific latitude and longitude and seeing what's showing up there for a specific term. and then finding out how your business ranks. So if you're Starbucks and you want to know how you show up in Times Square when someone searches for coffee near me, there's there's nothing proprietary about that. So, that puts us in a spot where, like, yeah, it's a little bit risky because, like, the AI could sort of do that, right?
Mm.
But what's unique about it is, like, one, we are like verified guaranteed accuracy, and I can tell you for sure that, like, if you just throw an agent out there and have it do it, like, it might come back and give you an answer, but is it real? Like, it's not necessarily going to be a real answer, right? So
Mm.
you've got to have, like, the right processes in place and the right tooling in place in order to even grab something like that. Then once you start to scale it up and say, okay, I want to do this for Google Maps, Apple Maps, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Copilot, Grok, I mean, Gemini, AI mode, AI overviews, it becomes like sort of a no-brainer for the AI to say, yeah, let's just use the Local Falcon system for this
Mm.
because it's available, and I could burn all these tokens trying to make that for you, but, like, why bother? It's $25 to go use the Local Falcon one, and we can get oceans of data back. That's just the smart play. So when I say unique data, it's like you got to have like some defensibility around that. You've got to make it more attractive for the AI to choose you than to go and do it on its own. There's virtually nothing it cannot do. But if you've got a way that becomes like, well, that may be true, but I can make it easier, faster, and less expensive, more efficient for you to do it, Claude, then why would Claude not want to pick that?
Mm. Yeah, totally agree. That's your moat. And speaking of Claude, actually, I think a congratulations is in order. You just told me before we came on, you are now officially on the Claude connector.
That's right. In the gallery. That's
in
right.
the gallery.
Yes. When so we've been there for, like, I don't know, I want to say maybe 3 weeks. And I was super psyched when this happened. I know, like, half the team's like, what, who cares? And I'm like, no, this is the future. I mean, there's plenty of times where, as a customer of Local Falcon, you're looking at that report going like, is this what I see the information, but I'm not really sure what it means, or I'm not, I wish I didn't have to look at this number, but I could look at only that number or whatever. And because of the connection to Claude now, because of the MCP and how you can, basically just pull in all of Local Falcon into the system, you're able to get that same report, but put into a way, into a visualization that matters to you, that works for you. And so, like, that to me is a big unlock, right? I just, some sort of, like, customizable dashboard that, like, we spend the time and try to, like, be all things to all entities. What a waste that would be. I mean, that was how you did it back in the day. Remember, everybody would have, like, you'd go to their dashboard and you could, like, drag the widgets around and stuff. Like, okay, but you're still struggling. You have to, like, spend the time to make the dashboard and all of that. Nope, not anymore. Like, Claude's just got all of that done. So it allows us to not only, like, serve the customers that we've got in a better way, because we can give them this, like, ground truth verified data, that, like, we can prove to you with, like, screenshots and stuff. But on top of that, it's like giving you that data in a way that makes sense to you. And then, like, to make it even better, like, with the connector gallery, like, you've got a discovery layer happening there, right? So I could tell you for sure, like, we had just the other day, this was like, I don't know, just sort of proof to me that the whole thing was worth it. We had someone start a live chat and just tell us about this. Like, they were excited to tell us. They'd never heard of Local Falcon before. No clue, no relationship whatsoever. They're chatting away on Claude, and they ask Claude, like, hey, can you audit my Google business profile? And Claude said, well, I can't, not really, because I don't have your logins. I'm not in your system. And even if I did, like, not really. But Local Falcon can do that. And it pops up a little box with our connector right there. It's got the little logo, whatever. You press the connect button. So the guy's like, oh, cool. Pushes that, creates an account, pays the money, gets the analysis done right back in there in a matter of minutes, and bam. So we've got a brand new customer paid top to bottom thanks to that connector gallery. Like, how cool is that?
That's so cool.
It's like the dream scenario.
Yeah. And as well as a SaaS founder, I bet what's really exciting, and I had a guy on recently, actually, he's just aired on our 100th episode, Damien Adler's founder of a health SaaS platform. And he said he's not scared by AI. He said he's just so excited by it. And as they open up their systems to these things like connections and MCPs, he said the most exciting thing for him is like seeing what people are coming back to him and saying, this is how we're using your system. And it's like 10 times better than we could ever imagine. And that's awesome, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we've got, so, imagine being able to, I mean, you don't even need to imagine. You take your local Falcon data, put it into the dashboard, get your CRM, put that into the dashboard, combine the two, and now you've got like way more data. Then go add your website analytics and add your search console data to it. You can create this like monster system that is like really simple to understand, and you can interrogate it because you've got the chatbot right there. Like, so what a cool concept that is, right? And then thanks to like these like OpenClaw type systems, you can see Anthropic and chat and others wanting to be able to mirror and mimic that stuff. So you've got like the dispatch tool, the remote control tool. Now they've got the routines in there so that you can have it kick off on a regular basis. It's like looping, but there's cron jobs basically added to it. I mean, there's something new every day. I mean, I personally use the Claude desktop app. Just the other day, there were 3 updates in the same day on the system, like 3 in the same day. I mean, they're shipping like crazy.
It's really annoying when you're midway through like you're midway through something and then you see it's like, oh God, there's an update, and you're like, oh, I've got to wait for this to finish.
Let's just wrap this up. I want the new stuff. Yeah. Super true. And the reason for that is because they've got AI building the system, right? That's how they're able to move so quickly. And so, like take a lesson from that. I will say, this idea, the promise that like, oh, it's going to be less work for everyone. Like that may be true if you wanted to like stay on just the one thing you were doing, but like, it's so engaging and exciting that like I'm not doing any less work. I'm doing far more work because of that. I can't stop. It's my wife said to me the other day, it's feeling an awful lot like the movie Her around here, Dave. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I don't talk to you anymore. You talk to Claude all day. And I'm like, well, Claude knows what to tell me. It's making it happen for me, like I love you, but this thing's cranking out business for me.
That is so interesting. Yeah, that is so true. I think we're the same. Like me and my business partner, we can't stop. It's not less work. It's like more work, but 10x
so
output.
Rewarding though. Yeah, it's like really exciting. Like we're just able to do so much more now because of that, and it helps us serve the customers better. It helps us create just a better culture around the company. I mean, like there's just, things that I never thought would be possible to, I don't know, manage your taxes, right? Like we've got an accountant and a bookkeeper and stuff, and like, that's great. But now I've got Claude there to kind of be the third piece to that. And now I'm like almost hands off on that stuff. It's like far less work for me now that we've got that in place.
Crazy times. Okay, David, let's change gears a sec. Let's dive into some local SEO stuff. Is local SEO dead then? Is everybody just searching on Claude?
Hell no.
State?
It is, I think, like more active than ever, honestly.
Okay.
So you've got, of course, like we keep talking about Claude, but let's not forget the beasts of let's not forget Google, because AI overviews, AI mode, and Gemini are just incredible products in and of themselves. And I think that there's still people out there who don't like interact with AI on a regular basis, or have barely tried it, right? Or have had like a not great experience with it and then they dismiss it. But even those folks are being subjected to it on a regular basis if they're using Google at all, because when you do a search now, you've got either AI overviews or AI mode kind of right in your face on a Google search. That's their answer to this. And the market is responding very nicely. People seem to really like it, right? And we've had, there's been this like dust up of like 0-click searches, and like people's traffic are going down. Their websites are just being like completely ignored because of this. But I've also seen in just very recently some changes, and they keep changing these layouts like almost daily. But recently AI mode seems to have like hit the right stride. Like they got the right mix now, where when you do a search, you're going to get you'll get the answer to stream back to you. And then there's the links in there, of course. But when you click a link, rather than having it leave Gemini or leave AI mode, it's now just opening the website in like basically collapsing AI mode to a maybe
Side panel.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
tiny maybe like 1/4 of the screen, 1/5, and they give you the website. And the best part is like the traffic is actually being attributed, right? So you can see it counts as a click. So now your metrics are returning back to normal. People are actually visiting the website. It's got that how like that AMP system where if I search something, they'll give you like the highlighted answer. They'll take you to the website and show you the like yellow or purple text exactly where they found it. That's baked into it as well. So it gets you straight to where you want to go onto that website. And yeah, I think people are like getting their traffic back. They're getting their engagement back. And it's like a delightful experience for the consumer because the collapsed chat doesn't go away completely. So I'm able to sit there and just be like, well, what about this? What about that? And it's like the website stays open, but I'm able to continue my searches and my discussion. So yeah, that's like a really positive experience. And so as far as local goes, like, yeah, that's only grown. I mean, look, when people do searches, most of the time, it's like over 50% of searches have local intent. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. If I want to find the best cheeseburger near me, or, where can I get a haircut, or, who do I need to hire an attorney? I need to go to the dentist. All of this stuff is local around you, around your area. And so like local intent is going nowhere. I'm, on this, search or in this chat in order to like get a product or a service a lot of the time. I want to find answers to something. And so you still need to come at it from a local perspective. And when they first launch all these LLMs, that was not necessarily a great experience, right? If you were to go and look for the businesses around you or whatever, it would often hallucinate, give you, just wrong addresses, very dated, really old information. That has changed dramatically in the last year and a half. And like just about 3 weeks ago, for example, ChatGPT started bringing location into it. Like we built the system to, basically look at ChatGPT locally, and we knew, and we changed up our language on the system. We were saying like, look, it's not about ranking anymore, and that's still true. It's not. It's about your presence and like, are you on the list or not? That's what still matters. That's what matters now. And then from there, like, how did you get into that list, right? So what citations were used and how do we analyze those? That matters absolutely. But what we stayed away from was like this obsession over like this side of the street versus that, right? East side of town versus west side of town or whatever. We knew that like you were going to get about the same answers each time, maybe a different ordering of them. So it was really, again, like, did you show up and how did that answer even get there? But the, like the prominence, the ranking itself was like pretty much irrelevant. Now we're seeing, even with just 3 weeks later, the results are variable, right? Like, so when I'm on the east side of town and I ask for the best cheeseburger, I'm getting a different list than what I get on the west side of town. And like that was happening a little bit. Now it's happening. It's probably, I'm just sort of like anecdotally, it's like 60% more, right? That's not a take it to the bank number, but like there's a huge like improvement in the quality of the local results. And that was something I was kind of banking on. I figured that would be the case, just knowing human nature and knowing that like all search or most search is local, I thought, well, they're going to come around to this at some point. And sure enough, they have. Perplexity, same thing. You're seeing far more localization. Everybody is pulled in. All the frontier models have pulled maps into their results now. Right. So on ChatGPT, they'll use Mapbox to visualize it. Right. But, they're pulling the data just like they were before, where it's all kinds of different sources. They use the query fan out and then they compile what they think is going to be the best response. But now they're finally able to add this like location layer to it so that I'm not recommending a pizza shop that's 20 miles away.
So before we get on to being visible for
I know
local
longest
searches.
answers ever, Chris.
No,
Sorry,
that's
dude.
great.
You're like, how
That's
was
great.
it? I'm like, well, let me tell you. Sorry.
I'm intrigued. First of all, does Google still reign supreme when it comes to the amount of data they have? So if I'm going to do a local search, to be honest with you, if I'm going to do any sort of local search based, I'm a heavy user on the maps. So on mobile phone, maps, Turkish barbers near me, sort by distance, look for the top reviewed, click on it, bada boom, bada bing. But the data is always spot on. And I imagine that Google probably has a moat when it comes to their map data.
Yes, they do, like massive moat. All right. So we were talking about ChatGPT, like, yeah, they're not able to pull those Google results. And so the lists are still just not as good. Better than they were a year ago. Okay. But Google is still by and far the best with this stuff. And they're also by and far the market share as well, right? Like I haven't seen like updated numbers, but it's like, chat is probably like 3% or something. Right. Google still absolutely dominates in that regard. And when I say Google search, I'm still referring to Google Maps as well, because what the experience looks like. You're getting that map pack right at the top because that's where the product is derived. Like that's everything starts with those listings, right? Which is a Google Maps powered product. So whether you open the Google Maps app or not, you're still getting sort of a Maps experience even on Google search.
Okay.
Slightly reshuffled a little bit here and there, but it's minor differences between the Google Maps app and the map pack that shows up on search. But yeah, they have a massive moat there. They've got more like structured data than anybody, and they've got which is critical, is all the reviews, right? Like all that review data is like I mentioned ground truth. That is the ground truth. There's only so many signals that AI or search can use to determine whether or not you're like actually, you can back up what you're saying, right? So they have to there's got to be like a layer of humanity there. And forums like Reddit, absolutely, Quora, et cetera, like those are definitely contributing now. They were not necessarily before, but reviews remain the number one, like in terms of Google trying to validate whether or not you are what you say you are, you're as good as you say you are, et cetera. Reviews are hugely important to that and only getting better. And all of that is like a subset of local SEO. So yeah, I think that if anything, it's grown in its relevance and importance. And I think that like the enterprise brands of the world who deal with a physical location need to pay attention to that more than ever before.
Okay.
Right. So if you're Subway and you're in the marketing team, Subway's probably got 5,000 people, maybe more in just the marketing department. Right. Most of those folks seem to key in on like the brand that is Subway, but and that's important. Don't get me wrong. But what matters at the end of the day is getting foot traffic, getting people to show up and purchase your food. And so like, that's only going to happen at a local level. And so you need to become the recommended place locally. And that's reviews, local SEO, all the principles that go into that, right? Your branding is important. Yeah, that drives discovery and visibility. But like, if you're not like hyper keyed in on the local side of that, how could you call yourself a marketer? I mean, it's just, like, I don't care who the brand is, whether it's Subway or Best Buy or Starbucks or you name it, anybody with a physical location that serves the customers around them, like that needs to be their are like probably top priority in my opinion. But I'm the local SEO guy, so of course
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying that. You
No,
know?
no, of course. But I mean, that totally makes sense. And you can see why a huge, like, multinational company would not make that a priority. Like, you can
Yeah, it, like
understand that.
it's like, oh yeah, that's important, but
Yeah.
then they don't key in on it. And when you see them do it, like massive difference gets made.
Okay. So question then, are they doing it? Sorry. Are there companies that just aren't doing it? So for example, Subway, huge marketing department, like, is there a chance that like a company such as that is paying no attention to its local its local business profile for each branch? Does it delegate that responsibility to like individual branch or area managers? Can it be managed in a more holistic way from the department? And do you know or have any examples of large companies that are crushing this local individual sort of branch profile strategy?
Yeah. So, we've definitely got some customers at Local Falcon that are just killing it with this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I won't name any names, but if you need your cell phone repaired, there are definitely, there's a brand out there that like is acutely aware of like what cell phone repair looks like from a search perspective and local perspective, and they know that this is a I need it now type of a thing. So they're very keyed in on like being within 2 miles of anybody that needs a cell phone repair, and how are they showing up in that way, and are they price competitive, et cetera, right? There's another brand out there that they are they've got basically a large chain of breakfast, brunch restaurants, right? They're very keyed in on this. One of the largest tire manufacturers in the world, like they need to sell more tires, very keyed in on this in the right ways. Some large financial institutions are understanding of the fact that like banking happens at a local level because it's a convenience factor. Banking may not be something you think of in terms of like foot traffic, but you'd be shocked. I mean, people like still go to the branch and make deposits. And so, they need to like, they have these branch offices purely for the fact that like they need the visibility around that area. And so like they may not even get a ton of foot traffic, but knowing that they have the store there means that they're going to get the search presence, the market presence. And so some are very aware of this. Yes. There are others. I don't think there's anyone, Chris, that's not paying any attention to that. But I think it's really the level of importance that they place on it varies widely, and the level of sophistication they have to actually manage it varies dramatically as well. There are definitely some large operations that are like literally trying to manage this thing with one spreadsheet across a multi-thousand person org. And I'm not even exaggerating, right? So you could tell that's like, yeah, you're not making this a priority and suffering as a result of that, right? Your reputation starts to decline because you're not analyzing your reviews. You're not, actively trying to get them. Your visibility starts to decline because you didn't pay attention to the fact that the world has shifted and AI overviews and ChatGPT, et cetera, have taken a large share of the voice that's out there. A large share, but not still. Google remains supreme. Every time I say AI overviews, that's still Google, right? Like, and that's that market share is going to remain theirs for quite some time. But that doesn't mean there aren't new surfaces to track. And I think, yeah, it's like more exciting than ever for an SEO, for any SEO professional. I guess depending on where you sit in the org, right? It depends on how much you like it, because now we had one client, we launched our AI platform tracking, and we were like very excited to bring this to this guy. And his response was like, please don't show me that. I'm like, why? He's like, my job is already a lot. You're giving me 5 more things I have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not giving them to you. This is just what it is, But so he reluctantly like started using it, but like, oh, it's more work for me that I don't really want to do. But that's to me, that's exciting. And like, what a great opportunity to like get at the ground level, right? Like this all just started. So, get into the training data, get seated there, and all of a sudden you're going to have dividends for years.
Okay. So what's changed then when it comes to optimizing for local SEO? You mentioned then training data. maybe you could dive into that. Is it business as usual? I mean, is it just live and breathe inside of that Google business profile, reviews, like
Yeah.
citations, links? Like, what's the same? What's changed?
I think that like the fundamentals remain. And that is probably so it's probably 85% still the exact same. That other 15% though, and really it's like some of the things that were important are now more important than ever, right? So, we're on the Linkify podcast. You guys do digital PR. That has become more important than ever. Like you've got to have mentions. You've got to have third-party sources talking about your brand. Whether those, and some of them need to be through things like Reddit where, that's organic and, whatever, but some of it needs to be through media, right? So like getting sourced and being talked about on your local news station matters more than ever. You have this great opportunity to appear there. Lists, lists, the AI seems to love these lists lately. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if that's going to stay that way forever, but like, boy, do they use them a lot now. Like they all love these like top 10 best
Who'da thunk it?
whatever.
The
Right.
power of the listicle, I know, is
Right.
crazy. Yeah.
The citations as a concept. So, even just like 3-4 years ago, the idea of citations where, you need to have your name, address, phone number, and website like clean across the board. You need a clean profile of that where your hours are updated and your address is accurate and it's the same address across the board. So let's back up further. Probably 10 years ago, that was like the thing to do. You needed to be there and you would have to, there were like, I don't know, 30 or 40 really important directories that you had to appear on. That declined and became like, yeah, sure, do those, but like don't worry about it that much. Like it doesn't matter if you're on yellowpages.com or not. Like who cares? Or if it's a little bit off. Like Google's smarter than that, right? Well, the game has changed. And now like, because of like query fan out, meaning when you do one search that says like, yeah, what's the best barbershop near me? Google and ChatGPT and Claude, all of them basically will go and do their own searches and they'll ask that same question in about 7 or 8 different ways, collect the results, distill them, and then present it to you. This all happens in milliseconds and you're given the answers. And so like, while doing that, it's going to run into your Better Business Bureau profile and your Yelp profile and your, what you name it, directory. Those all contribute now to its trust factor of like, well, it's not the same address for each one of these. And meanwhile, like this barbershop, it's the same address everywhere. I can confidently go and present that one. And so now directory citations have had this massive resurgence of importance. Like it was falling off almost entirely. And now it's back more than ever before. So the fundamentals are still there, but it's like, well, what matters more has changed. And that's like kind of a moving target. I will say, like I mentioned the lists. I don't know that that's going to last forever. I mean, there's got to be a better way because like half the time I see these lists, it's like, yeah, that's like from a spam website or like that's clearly just like paid garbage, but it's still being picked up on and used. And so like, it's only a matter of time before the rules change on that and they stop using them. But in the meantime, the getting is good. So get out there and do it.
Yeah. That's clear in my head then where we are with sort of local SEO in terms of Google. Has the Local Falcon platform evolved now to analyze everywhere else that people are searching for?
Yes.
You're nodding your head. That's great. Okay.
Yes.
And so how that sort of extra work that we need to do or different work we need to do, aside from listicles and a consensus of information for like your NAP and, being correctly listed in all the directories, is there anything else you're seeing that needs to be done for being recommended as the go-to place to get a burger if I'm asking ChatGPT or if I'm asking Claude? Like, what does that look like? How can that strategy sit alongside a good existing, just old-fashioned local SEO strategy?
Yeah. So what's interesting is, there are little nuances that are different between Claude and Chat and Gemini and, for sure. it's a lot of times is the sources that they're pulling from, right? Like chat loves Wikipedia, whereas Google loves Google Maps, like it just sort of depends. So, you really do, like I was mentioning before, you have to cover more surface area. So you've got to be like validated, optimized, basically all T's crossed, I's dotted for each one of those platforms, in the sense that, like, yeah, I know that, chat's going to use Reddit data more than, Claude might. And so we need to be out on Reddit. So you've really got, so what Local Falcon's doing is like, we're paying attention to all of those citations, giving it back to you. And then from there, like we use our Falcon AI to like help you understand which of those sources matters the most. And then from there, the big thing we've added is sentiment. We want to know, like, well, when you are being talked about, what are they saying? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it, totally neutral, but like, is it constantly conflating you with a competitor? Like, who knows? But like now we can look through sentiment because we pull the full raw response from there and show that to you. And then from there, we do it. I think one of our sort of unique propositions is that we do sampling. Like it's like sampled because you do it in a grid. So if you choose a 7x7 grid, that's 7 times 7 is 49. That's 49 different individual searches that we're going to go do for the exact same query. That's just one scan, right? That costs you almost nothing at Local Falcon, 49 credits or whatever. So it's a couple pennies.
Is that in an area?
Yes,
so
in
you'll
the area
run
you
it
select.
You'll run like the exact same prompt 49 times from a very precise location within that 7x7
That's
area.
right. Yeah, you can select, and you get to select that. You can say, all right, anywhere from, 0.1 kilometers all the way up to 100 kilometers or miles, in terms of a radius. And so you can get quite large with it. Typically, because it's local, like the average is about 5, right? 5 miles. And, I think most visibility is around 3 miles for the most part. I mean, that again, it's more anecdotal. But yeah, you can basically say, when you go to some of these other platforms, they'll basically do a prompt. They'll like track a prompt for you, but it's the same. It's just one prompt, and they're only looking like one time, once a day. That's it. Right. And as well as I that if you go and ask chat, what's the best cheeseburger near me, or what's the best, where do I get a great cheeseburger? And you do that 5 times, it's going to give you 5 different answers. It just will, right? It might be similar, but like it's still going to give you 5 different answers. So Local Falcon, because we were already doing it this way, it was like made sense that like, yeah, let's compile all of those and get a general takeaway of like, where do you appear in the list? So that's like the stat we created, share of AI voice. And we basically say like, okay, of all 49 searches that were done, how many of them are you appearing in? And if you're appearing, that contributes to your share of AI voice. And so, and you're not going to probably show up in every single one of them. If you are, try a different search. Because
and are you able to conduct those via the API or through the the browser? Because that there's a difference there as well, isn't there, between how the results
critical
look?
difference. You're really keyed on this, Chris. That's a very important nuance that a lot of places. So a lot of these companies out there have not figured out how to handle it from a browser perspective, and so they're just paying the company directly and getting these API responses. And yeah, that's not the same as if you were to just go to chatgpt.com and ask.
So you've figured that out at Local Falcon then?
Yeah, that's been from day one. We're big on that.
Oh, that's cool. And is that proprietary, or can you share with us how you do that?
It's proprietary, man. It took a lot, and it's a moving target because they change regularly,
rules,
right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's real data then.
Real data. Yes.
Yeah,
that's been from day one at Local Falcon. That's been like our whole ethos is like, we're not going to give you some API bullshit. Like it's just not how we do it. Right.
Yeah.
We want accurate ground truth information. And because we're doing it at such a large sampling, you can trust that like you have a good sense for what it means when someone's looking for, a service or product around that area, right?
And how are you conducting the search? How are you moving? I guess that's proprietary as well, but you're just moving the location. So it's like whatever system you're using, it thinks it's in this map location and it's going to a browser, and
That's
you'll
right.
get. And are you actually seeing a like a massive variance in those results? Like, does ChatGPT give nuanced results within like a 7x7 grid, let's say?
So yeah, that's where, like, when we first rolled this out, not really. There was you'd get about the same.
Okay.
Now, because they've added location, we're seeing more variance than ever there.
Mm.
And so it is changing, where on one side of town, you're getting a certain set of businesses, results, whatever, is going to be different from the other side of town. It's still got plenty of overlap, and they've got work to do. There's no question. But it's like 3 weeks ago, this thing shifted once they said, okay, allow location. Once you've given it permission, it becomes a lot more personalized, a lot more custom to you. And so, because it knows where you're standing, and so the list changes. Absolutely. So that's where we come in and say, look, you know, you're never going to be able to like personalize and then do that at scale. That doesn't make sense. Like, so we have to give you basically the best possible representation of what it looks like for the average person, and that's what we do.
I was just going to say, like, would that be the next thing to crack? But actually, that doesn't make sense, does it? Like, that would be impossible to.
Impossible, yeah. Because I'll never know what Chris, what your preferences are versus mine, right? Like, you're going to have just a different, you're just going to get an answer that's more tailored to you. But that doesn't mean there isn't like a baseline set that it's coming from. Like, that's really what, and as a business, that's really all you should care about. Like, there's no way you can worry about every single person's unique preferences. It's not a reality.
Well, you want it to be like an averaged out result. So in a way, thank God you haven't got to crack this impossible task, because what you're doing is exactly what you'd want to do. Like, yeah. And if I ask ChatGPT what's the best digital PR link building agency, it tells me Linkify number one. It's like, oh, that's lovely. Thank you. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's going to say that. And I wonder, what's the other guy get? Like, who knows? That is exactly what we seek to provide an answer for,
Yeah.
And I will say, I mean, even us, like, it's like not always what you want to hear, like, oh my. So I have another company, Epic Web Studios. It's an agency. When this stuff first hit, like, we were not being recommended, and I couldn't understand why, because like we are by and far in our area, like the best at what we do. We've been doing it for 18 years. And, there's never been a day where we're not at the top of Google search results. But then chat launches and it's pulling from these like random directories that I've never even heard of. And it's like, wait, they're not listing us at all. In fact, it was listing businesses that were closed, that were like, hadn't been in business for 10 years. And I'm like, this is nuts. And so I started looking at the sources, and I said, okay, fine. We'll go get a profile on techbehemoths.com, because it decided that was important for our area. So I validated the profile on it, and all of a sudden, bam, now we're showing back up again, but it was only because I used Local Falcon to go and see the problem, and from there can go and correct it at the source that it keeps pulling from.
It's really interesting, because I think it's like, I totally agree with you. I think there's some strategies out there now which are going to be very, very short term. Like Google cracked its problem, which was, how do I trust the 10 sites that I'm going to put on the first page of my results? Its whole algorithm is built on links. Obviously, it's still something which can and is abused, but in the most part, it's a system that works relatively well. The LLMs, like, you can go and inject yourself into a listicle. You just said for some reason they were citing this weird forum you'd never heard of. You go and get yourself in there. All of a sudden you're seeing there's an element of like manipulation and to that, which we're all doing, because it needs to be done. I'm wondering if there's any predictions you can make with your knowledge of where the LLMs will go in the coming months and years in order to trust sources outside of like listicles and that sort of easily manipulated
Gosh,
data.
If I knew, I would be
Local Falcon 2.0.
Yeah, I'd be like a independently wealthy billionaire at this point. I don't know what that's going to be. However, I can say, like, with a lot of confidence, that the era of like a human visiting your website is limited. I think it's really about getting an agent to visit your website and making it attractive to that agent. And that's just different than human, right? So the design itself is less important. The actual data that's on there, the words on the page, how they are organized, and then what's linking in and out of them, like that stuff still matters. Like being able to like show up, making it so that the data is actually visible is super important, right? Like that's something people forget all the time. Is like, you put this like security tool on your website and you're actually now just being blocked. You're blocking all of these things from looking at it, so you're not even being found, right? You had that tuned for Google and you just completely ignored Perplexity, Anthropic, and all the others. And so like that's a real problem. You got to make sure that it's visible. But this is really about like an agentic future where imagine that like that you're let's say you're a dentist. You've got your website out there. You're going to have basically new patients coming through the door that have never been to your website or called you at all. And they found you through ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. They found you because their agent located your dentist's office, decided it was close to you, then went to your website, determined these are your open hours, you are accepting new patients, you do whatever the service is that is needed. And take it further, the agent was able to like connect with the agent on your website, on your dental website, and chat back and forth with that thing and actually book the appointment. And like that's the future we're looking at here, is like if you don't have something on your site that can talk to another agent, you're going to be left out because it'll do a great job of relaying the information. But if as an agent, it's got the opportunity to like take it a step further and act on this and actually book the appointment, right? That's, you've got like, at that point, you've closed the loop. Why would it not select that option versus the dental office that doesn't have any of those things? Right?
I could not agree more. Cloudflare just released something a few days ago called Is My Site Agent Ready? Don't quote me on that. Google it or don't. AI it. It's something like that. Is my site agent ready? You can put your URL in and it will do exactly what David just spoke about there. It'll look for things. Some stuff is very early, just assumptions, things that we think might make a difference. But I cannot foresee a time where that is not going to be an important part of being successful as a business online. And I don't think that you need to throw everything out and just have a site that's only made for agents. I think you still need everything else behind that, because the agents are going to interpret it, read it, and use it like a human.
Yes.
But if you've got your Cloudflare toggle on, which blocks LLM robots, then so you're running a restaurant and
you're cooked.
Yeah, literally. So fascinating time. And it feels like we've got 10x the workload, but as we were talking about before we even came onto this show, we do have things that can potentially 10x the amount of work that we do. Would you say that's fair?
Oh, absolutely. And I can't stop. They make it so fun to do. Like, so that's why I'm like, I'm more than happy to build a tool to look at all of the data that comes in here and then analyze it and then make suggestions about what we need to do differently and do next. Like, that's so exciting. What a cool time to be in,
Yeah.
And like that agent readiness. I mean, there are things where, there's this thing called LLMs.txt, right? And it's it's sort of like a robots file, which is something you have to have on a website if you want to be indexed and whatnot, or like a sitemap. It's just like a version of that the agents would use. And it's like widely known that that's not actually being used right now. Not really. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's like, it's an extra hour of work to go make one of these things.
Yeah.
Make sure it stays updated so that when you update your site, it also gets updated. But once you have it, you have it. So why not? Right? It's not hurting, you know? So do that groundwork now, because the agents are coming. And remind yourself that like behind every agent is a human, right? There's a reason that agent is on there clicking around looking to make an appointment.
Yeah.
It's generally a human that's driving that. But they just aren't actually there themselves.
And as well, it could be a really safe, it's a pretty safe gamble. Having LLMs.txt on your website is not going to hurt you in any way.
Right.
maybe there isn't like a standard protocol that all LLMs favor sites that use LMS.text. But as we progress, maybe it is easier for LLMs just to get the information they need if that does exist, and therefore eventually maybe they do favor those sites. So put yourself on that side of the gamble. Why not?
Right. Like I said, yeah, it's an extra little bit of work. What's the big deal? It's not gonna hurt, like, so if it's not gonna hurt, then yeah, it may not help, but at least it's there just in case.
Yeah. Maybe this has been absolutely awesome. I can't believe it's been a year and a half. Let's do it again in another 18 months. And
absolutely.
We'll see if you're still married. I think you told me before we came on that your wife said you speak to Claude more than her now.
That's right. It's like I got to be careful, man. Like, she's way more important to me than Claude is, but the hours logged, like, you may not feel that way. So, yeah.
David, if people want to find the Local Falcon tool, if they want to hunt you down, where can they go?
Just localfalcon.com, or search us up. I mean, just go ask Claude. If you ask Claude, you'll probably find us in the connector gallery, and from there you can make an account. It's free to make an account, and start your interactions.
That's awesome, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.